Welcome everybody to the AV Exchange presented by Midwich. I'm your host, Joe Dunbar. The smile on my face might be perma-plastered. We have been sorting through a couple technical things on the front end, and it just turned into some conversations that we're actually, I think, going to get into on the pod today. So I'm excited about it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you guys giving us your time. I've got George Birchall from Epiphan waiting in the wings here, and as you can see from the agenda, we're going to talk to George from Epiphan. Really, they've launched a new PTZ camera called the EC20, so I think a lot of conversation may end up revolving around that. I certainly want to talk about applications and use cases and some technical things and learn more about the camera, where it goes, why it goes. I'll ask about the roadmap and things like that. We'll probably also do some chatting about Unify Connect. This is a solution we actually use to produce this show, so it makes all the sense in the world. Epiphan has been supporting us for a while, and they're here, so it's like we should definitely talk about that. And as we do, there will be a $50 Amazon gift card raffle here at the end of the segment. Please stick around. You've got to be present to win that. And I want to qualify everybody. The more relevant questions you ask, then that will get you an extra raffle entry into the raffle at the end for the gift card there. So definitely stick around for that. Then, sorry, we're lost a little bit. I do want to do a little bit of the housekeeping stuff. Please use the Q&A in the Zoom webinars for questions. I think I have the chat enabled. I'm definitely going to check as we speak. Yep, everyone can chat. There we go. Use the Q&A for questions, chat for any general discussion. If you've got any experience with Epiphan, we love to hear about it, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to know. I've used a lot of the converters, and certainly we've done quite a bit with the Pearl unit, so I'm excited to take a look at the camera. No awareness poll today and the gift card giveaway you guys already know about, so we're going to dive right into it. Let me flip over and bring my buddy George on in. George Birchall from Epiphan, how are you doing today, my friend?
Good, Joe. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you joining us. George, where are you joining us from? Can you tell people where you're out of?
I saw your little promo of this today where you were showing a beautiful desert scene. It is the exact opposite. So I'm in Ottawa, Canada, so everything's covered in ice right now. We woke up with a bit of frost, but it's still pretty in its own way. So yeah.
No standing snow yet, though.
A little bit.
Just a little dusting.
I have to put on a pair of skis, but
yeah. You come join me anytime in the desert, man. We got warm.
I really am ready. Yeah, it's only November,
George,
so.
Yeah, right. I appreciate you joining us, man. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. Assuming we've got the time, we've got people loaded up. I need to make sure to pay attention to the Q&A. This is always a thing of mine when we get into a conversation like this. I kind of get lost in it. George, can you tell the folks, just kick it off, tell us a little bit about what your job is, what you do at Epiphan, how long you've been there?
Sure. So I'm with the marketing team here at Epiphan. I've been here, I like to say a long time. I've been here about 10 years. But in reality, we have some people at this company who have been here for 23 years. So it's been around for a while, this company. Most people would know us through our Pearl systems, which we'll talk about today. There's one peeking into this shot here today. It's a big part of what we do is around, stuff like we're doing right now, this kind of broadcasting. This is a lot of the technology that we like to talk about and what our customers get excited for.
Yeah, you guys have certainly enabled us and many other partners to take off and do things like this, as well as many other things. So we obviously we got to start with the headliner right here. Epiphan has recently launched a PTZ camera, the EC20.
Yes.
I got a chance to see it at our Tech Connect event a little bit. I've been digging into it in preparation for this. Can you tell us, I guess to start out, I would love to know a little bit about the EC20, just a quick kind of tease in. And then I would love to start by talking about why Epiphan decided they wanted to make the solution and kind of who it's for.
Of course, yeah. Obviously, it's been a big part of my life for the last month as we've been pushing this out into the world. And you can see there's one here on this desk here following me around. And what their early feedback from customers who have tried this camera is that it's exceptionally good out of the box. So you plug this thing in, put it on wherever you need it to go in that room, and it's going to work beautifully for you out of the box. It's a 4K camera, 20x zoom. It does all the kind of connectivity that you might want, whether it's, NDI, or if you want HDMI or USB or SDI signals, however you want to get video out of this camera, it's going to work. It also has killer auto tracking. You can see it now following me. It's reminding me of my border collie at home, which just like stares at me endlessly, asking me what I want to do. This camera is kind of similar in a lot of ways. Um, and so feature wise, we can talk about that and you can ask me questions. What about this feature? What about that feature? And I'd love for the audience to cue in and see if it's right for them. It's very, very compelling from a feature set and a pricing point of view. You're going to look at what you get for this camera for the price that you get, and it's going to stack up beautifully against any other camera on the market. But that's still not why it's really interesting, in my opinion. There's like a deeper conversation to be had around it.
Hey, that's what we're here for, man.
That's why I like talking to you. You're always like, no, get that out of the way. Well, tell me
Yeah,
the real thing. Yeah.
yeah. I want to get to the root of it. I guess what compelled Epiphan. So you talk about like, okay, it's easy to deploy, and that's all great. I do kind of want to ask some questions about that from a technical standpoint, but we can save it for a second. What made Epiphan say this is something we should pursue? This is a product that the market should, seemingly wants, and here's why we're going to release it.
Sure. It's really a continuation of the entire Epiphan story. So over this past 10 years that I've been with this company, we've expanded our footprint within the places that we work. So whether it's in a house of worship or in a higher education setting or a live event or a broadcasting setting like this, we always look at all the jobs that happen in that room. And like just before this, you and I were trying to sort out audio issues and video issues because some things went sideways somewhere between us and Zoom and the land of broadcasting. But there's like 100 little steps that your producer has gone into today to make this thing work. So we're like, what step can we like resolve for that person today? And we've done a really good job on making sure that like video capture is really solid. And that's why you use our Pearl systems. It's going to capture nicely. Video recording, done, solved. Video streaming, we've simplified a lot of that so that people can just go into a space, record that video, stream that video, and know it's going to work. The camera was kind of an extension of that. It was sitting off to the side. It was like you could use any camera with our equipment, and that's the same today. You can still use any camera with our gear, and this camera will work with anybody else's gear. But we're going to give you a little bit more confidence knowing this camera is going to work. So I'll tell you what that means.
Please.
You use our stuff today, and so you have a beautiful cloud interface where you can log in and see maybe you have 10 pearls running in your various studios. I'm suddenly making you an empire of studios. Okay,
this is accurate.
Yeah, and to manage one of those, it's pretty straightforward. You connect things. You're sitting there in the chair all day. You look at it. You're pushing knobs, making it work. But the minute you scale up, like a lot of your customers do, whether they're trying to set up other customers for success or they're the AV team responsible for 20 rooms, suddenly like the centralized management, all of that becomes really critical because you can't afford to spend time like troubleshooting all these little small bits of the chain to get video from in the room out to the world. And now that we have a camera that we can add to our entire remote management system so that you can log in and see what's happening on that camera, there's a lot we can do to make lives easier for people deploying AV and IT equipment into the world.
So this is like, this is kind of the age old tale. I hate to make comparisons because just on a singular level, the whole shtick of Apple for the longest time was like controlling the hardware allows us to control the experience and provide a more consistent, more robust experience. So we're kind of in a similar vein. We're saying if Epiphan can bring that camera into our world and it lives in our world, now it's fully accessible to our entire platform. That's
exactly. Like it raises your level of confidence in that one little piece of the signal chain just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, man, we've used a lot of Epiphan solutions, and for the better part of 2 years now, we've been running this on the Cloud Unified platform, and it's been fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
We've been hearing that for years. Like people will rely on Epiphan primarily because it's the thing that just works. That's the quote we hear over and over. It just works. It's not the sexiest quote, right? But you know how valuable that is to people who have like 100 other things that they have to manage or people and stuff like that. To know that there's like this one device in the corner that just always works and doesn't go anywhere. That's like that's gold to our customers at least. So we think if we can bring a bit of that same juice to the camera world, and people are already kind of excited about that aspect of it.
I don't want to I don't want to put you in a box, but I do want to start from the box that you guys already live in with this question. Epiphan certainly, in my experience, I learned about Epiphan through kind of the higher ed space, and
Sure.
then have seen it grown into the corporate market. Is the camera been well accepted in the higher ed space? Was there any testing done with those types of customers or other customers?
Those
How did you guys
customers
kind
are
of develop this?
bananas. I love those customers because they're like, yeah, we've got this camera. They're like, great. We're going to take it in our lab and we are going to test it for 6 months and we're going to put it through its paces and test it against all other cameras. And they're like the most hardcore of
Yeah.
quality people because they know they have to deploy in 300 spaces. So they don't screw around with things like that. So we're pretty excited to see the results of all those things, but it's early days. They're getting these, they're in labs right now and they're testing it. And the feedback from them so far has been it's impressive out of the box, which means they don't have to fiddle with it as much. Like most cameras, you can kind of get to do what you want to do. You play with the white balance to do that. This thing I found generally you take it out and set it up and it's like, it's good. You can say, but
Yes. Yeah, so being able to have the camera in the Epiphone ecosystem or the Epiphan ecosystem allows you guys to a deeper look into it, and I would say too more access for the end user. If you have a third party camera connected to something, there's only so much information that can be given in there. So you mentioned price point and features. I mean, we're not a typical kind of commercial sales call that we're
mm,
trying to do here. I like
yeah.
to keep it more conversational, but we got to talk about it. I know the price point. I don't want to spoil it. It's around what, like our US price point is about $1,900
Yeah, it's
MSRP.
1900 and there's a promo out right now. I think it started today actually to get $200 off for those friends and family of Epiphan. If you have a Pearl in place right now, you can save a little bit more on this because we really want to get these out into the field to get people using them and get that feedback.
Awesome. I actually, when it first came out, we had a little guessing game about how much it was going to
Hmm.
cost. I didn't win the pool, but it was certainly less than a lot of us thought it would be. So that goes to show the price is right. You talked about the AI tracking. I mean, ease of deployment. What kind of features are we looking at
Sure,
that make
sure.
this appealing?
So the AI tracking, you can see this thing's tracking me right now. It's not the best tracking demo, but it's really irritating because it's like having my border collie at home just stare at me the whole time. So I usually turn this off when I'm in the room with it. It does kind of, you personify it after a while, you're like, enough. But it's very, very persistent camera. And the tests have shown that it's wildly good. Like I can get a room of 6 or 7 people in here, no problem. I try and hide behind them, it will find me. There's a video that we put up on all the socials last week where I'm in this big boardroom trying to screw with this thing and make it lose me, but it does not get lost. So that's the out of the box tracking on this thing is exceptionally good. The image quality is extraordinary. I found I'm a camera guy. Like I'm in this studio. I helped build this place and spec out all the different cameras here. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, we can use this camera in here. So it's 4K. It does all the things that you would want a camera to do in terms of outputting that video. So NDI, if you want HDMI, SDI, or even USB, you can use however you want to output that camera to how you're going to work with it. I'm enjoying using NDI much more now. I find the stability around NDI has gotten really good. And so when I use it with our Epiphan systems, I just say add new input and then boom, it shows up. There the source for me. And then the last thing I like about it is that it's PoE. So that's a single cable, power it, do all of your video over it. Our customers tend to like that as well.
The
So that's your
P
kind of like feature rundown.
yeah, which is exactly what I was looking for. PoE plus for the
PoE
camera.
plus. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Which is really sweet. All the connectivity in there you mentioned, it seems like you kind of were like, oh, and USB, which I totally understand. I feel like this is just totally, I'm speculating.
Mhm.
I really do feel like we're going to see this thing where like NDI has become way more stable, way more integrated into UC platforms and video conferencing workflows and things like that.
Mhm.
And we're still seeing a lot of people prefer to use USB just because they're familiar with it, right? The devil you
That's been the
know.
story. Like I've been asking that question for years. Like you can
Right.
go to some like network-based thing. Like, no, I like a cable because it plugs in here and it plugs in over there, and I can see both ends of it. And I can tell if it's wrong. Like there's that comfort. It's like a warm blanket for our customers. They like plugs that go into things. So it takes a lot to get people to flip over
Yeah.
those invisible signals.
It really does. And honestly, even from a more problematic solution, right? Like USB,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
didn't love HDMI. There's a lot of things that kind of irk me about HDMI, but I guess to say, are you seeing more NDI adoption in workflows? Do you think
Oh,
can help drive that? What does that look like for you
I,
guys?
I don't know that we're seeing it. I'd have to talk to our engineers to see if they're seeing it like in logs of our products, if there's more of a usage. We've actually seen more of an uptick with our European customers traditionally with NDI compared to our US customers. I don't know what that is exactly,
I might.
but just anecdotally, like you, like I hang around this industry, I talk to people like you and your peers, and I'm hearing more people talk about NDI. So that's really all I can say. It seems
I
to be more, it sort of smells more stable to me.
It's an interesting thing because people who are comfortable with networking seem to be like, yeah, like let's jump into NDI head
Yeah.
first, even if they're not totally familiar with it. And the less sufficient the networking chops are, the more they want to kind of stay
Yeah.
away from
But
NDI.
it's a mindset too. Like a lot of the people who buy Epiphan solutions, they install it and then they never ever want to have to like go in there and tweak with it. They're not like sitting there monitoring it unless they have to. So NDI just introduced like a little bit of like, oh, is the signal going to drop? And if as soon as it does that, it's like dead in the water to
Yeah.
some of the like our higher ed customers. Like not too many of them I have found to be NDI adopters. But in a live event setting, when you're just setting up to do like a 1 day thing and away you go, we see it more in that space.
I this is almost, I mean, unrelated, but you were talking about the adoption in Europe versus North America, and I would love it if somebody could challenge me on this or offer any data on it at all. But totally in an anecdotal way, I firmly believe that the U.S. and North America in general is much slower to adopt new workflows and technology in the AV space in particular, slower to adopt new workflows and technologies and things like that for whatever reason. I feel like there's just too many folks I know that like once they get burned by something, they never open back up to it again. And conversely, once they find something that's extremely stable or at least reliable for them, then
But
they
I
stay glued to
mean,
that.
I don't know why that would be. It doesn't sound like a very American kind of approach. Like when you
Yeah.
now we're getting like a little bit away from
Yeah,
technology.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
seeing
So I
with the
say, but
mindset of Americans, they tend to be like, there's a hero culture here. Like, let's go, let's do it.
yeah, we like to be first on those things. But so
Yeah.
the reason we kind of bring it up and the reason it ties into the EC20 is because all the technology and connectivity that exists in the camera. So you talked a little bit about tracking. I do want to ask some questions about those, but first I just wanted to know, you guys have, so we're talking about workflows and connectivity. There are some bundles with the EC20 and the other products really designed to work right out of the box, right?
Correct. So you can get for example, I believe you have one of these in your studio.
Yeah, let me
This is
go
a
big
Pro Mini,
screen.
and you can buy a EC20 and a Pro Mini for a really good price, similar to the promo that we're putting out. You get $200 off of the camera that you go with it. And there you go. You sell that to somebody, or you are building a podcast studio or something like that. You've got a pretty good starting point. Like you still have to get audio and you're going to have to get some other things, but right away you plug this camera in, it's going to see it right away and it's going to work. And the beautiful thing is then you've got one button to start streaming and recording video. So if you're building some kind of podcast studio or some kind of corporate space where you just want to make it easy for those people to create content, this would be a good starting point. We have,
What?
but we
Oh,
have bundles for like other verticals too, like a live event bundle and a higher ed focus bundles as well. So it's good value.
yeah. And so when you say pull it out of the box and plug it in, it's going to work. Is that intended to be a USB connection between them? Is it intended to be
It's not intended to be anything. It's going to be intended to be whatever you want it to be.
got it?
So if you're an NDI fan, it's going to work, or if you're a HDMI or SDI, whatever, however you like to work.
Got it. That's what I'm driving at. It's not really put into a box or any specific
No,
kind of.
no, 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 no. And like this camera will still work with any other solution that you have in place, just like the Pearl. So they work nicely together, but they're not exclusive. It is not a monogamous relationship.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm driving right towards that. NDI HX2 3.
3.
Oh, okay.
HX3. Yeah.
HX3, good to know. And I know, this is maybe kind of a small thing, but when we were at our Tech Connect event, Phil and I were talking a bit about the tally light,
Yes.
which I think looks fantastic on the camera, really.
I know
It's
it's super sexy.
unobtrusive.
So I
Yeah,
built like we have a little app running right now which controls this tally light. So this full circle ring on here, you can program it to be whatever color you wish as well. So I'm excited to see what our customers do with that too.
I love that. I've been in enough situations where the predefined colors for tally lights, not everybody gets it. They think it should be the other color than what it is.
That is a story as old as time because the red green thing is a challenge. Does red mean like on or does it mean stop? Like, is it go? Is it stop? Is it recording? It's very complicated. Trust me.
It is, which is why I ask about the tally light, a seemingly
Oh,
innocuous
it's blue. Yeah.
thing, right? I think
Yeah.
it's pretty neat that we can do some customization with that. So
Yeah. Like if it's streaming, it can be one color. If it's recording, it could be another color. So there's some things that we're scheming about along with that tally light as well. So stay tuned for that.
I love that firmware updates can bring some new features and functionality. Are we, can we talk about the tracking a little bit? Because
Of course. Yeah.
the industry is rife with, cameras that do tracking.
So it's kind of similar to that NDI conversation we had. Like for years, people have been saying like, oh, there's tracking on it, but it stinks. Tracking has gotten good.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. We're at this point like, oh, okay. I think we're reached the point where it's no longer just the early adopters. Like some of our really stagnant customers who are like, no, I just want something that's going to work 100% of the time. They're starting to look at tracking and going, yeah, I think I can actually use that. So this right out of the box, like it's better if I could show you that video that we made or play with it and try it. Like it's really hard to lose this thing when it tracks. And
I,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say on the side here, you guys can see I'm looking around for, I'm going to find that link and I'll drop in the chat because I have seen it and it is really great. I was quite impressed the first time,
Yeah.
which led me down to this conversation is like, man, like what makes it better than the other tracking solutions? And I know that's a multifaceted, it's just not a single thing to answer, but if we can talk a little bit about that.
I think with some of the other tracking solutions, they literally just had a hard time tracking. So they would track the wrong people or they would jump off people. But then it comes down to how you build the controls around it because it can't just like track the same person all day long. So for an example, we have set up things like zone-based tracking. So, because sometimes like if a camera's moving like this all the time, like if you were watching the feed off of this camera right now, you'd get sick. You'd be like, okay, enough with the tracking. Like
we were peeking at it earlier and it is following you like
yeah.
crazy.
So in this, like I would never want a tracking camera to work like at 3 feet away from me like this.
Sure.
So what you might do is set up zone-based tracking where it's like, just stay focused in this area and look at this until that person goes over to that area and then you go over to that area. So that's a more kind of useful version of tracking. So there's zone-based tracking and then the follow mode tracking. They both have their places and they take some nuance to figure out how you're going to use it. There's some artistry around it, but the tools are all there that you can kind of get really nice tracking out of the box.
We've got some audience questions coming in. I appreciate you guys asking. John specifically wanted to know, we're talking about tracking. John has asked how does the tracking handle headroom? And I guess that I would expand on that by just kind of, I'm curious if we can.
Yeah, you can show this web UI here.
Yeah.
So
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
So this is I'm way too close to this thing to see a proper demo on it, but you can see here I have a figure size selection. So if I change it from full is basically head to toe, half body is waist to head, and then close up is basically your head and shoulders. And you can decide at what level you want that. And when you do that close up shot, it leaves like a moderate amount of headroom, but it doesn't like center your head in the middle of the frame. So I found the framing to be bang on. And you can also position the people like left, right, middle. I haven't actually used this a whole lot, but it will like keep them on the left side of the frame like it does now. So you can kind of dial it in really nicely, I'd say.
I actually really love that feature that you can center left, right in the frame.
Yeah, if you have a display happen in the room, then you want to like not cut that off or.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, any type of the pearls are so often used in situations where we're talking about like lectures and presentations and things like that. And so usually going to be standing to the side of some type of display screen, something like that. So I think that's really cool. There's a couple of sliders down there that look like they allow you to modify kind of how the behaviors respond or anything. Can you just give us a brief little?
Sure. So this is called target retention time. And that means like if this camera loses me, you decide how long do I wait until this thing moves. So what will happen after 6 seconds, it will move back to a preset at the front of the room, for example. Like it'll be like, okay, I lost him. I don't know where he went after 6 seconds. So that's that figure eight. And then you can change it to do not tilt, like only track like pan,
that's cool.
basically. Yeah. Cause sometimes people like walk down a set of stairs and they're still in the picture. But you don't want it to follow them as they go down those stairs or And same thing with Zoom. You can restrict it from zooming.
I like that. I saw in one of the demos where actually one of the videos, which I'm still digging up here. See, I got too much going on. But I saw one of the demos where somebody like literally walked off screen. It went to the wide shot of the room, and when that person came back in the room, it like went back into just tracking them, which I think is a
Yeah.
little bit of what you're alluding to. How does
No. It will track the next person to come
God?
back.
Okay. In the
It,
demo, I saw the next person was the same
well,
person. So
yeah, it
that,
was the same person. You're right. It'll
yeah.
work for that person too, but it's not magic. So,
I'm
I mean,
sitting here. I was like, they must have this guy's driver's license or something. Like, how are they? How are they pinned down?
we've had those conversations too. It gets a little weird after a while.
That's fair. That's fair. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. A quick question. John asked about how many cameras can a Pearl handle?
Well, all of our Pearls can handle different amount of sources. So the Pearl Mini that you saw on this desk, we call this a 3 input device. Our Pearl 2 is a 6 input device. Our Pearl Nano is like 1 or 2. So it just depends on what Pearl they want. They all have a sort of a max number of sources that they'll let you work with. So it depends on the Pearl. 1,
Which
3, or 6 generally.
which is why the whole lineup is there. And I will say to John as well, if you haven't used or seen all of them, a variety of connectivity is available on
Yeah.
all the devices, which is great. I don't want to steer away from the EC20. I just want to throw folks in. I do kind of want to get to a couple of other things a little bit, but I guess before we kind of start to pitch away, George, is there anything on the EC20 that I didn't? I mean, we talked about the tracking, we talked about the ease of deployment, the price point is right. We talked about the bundles native to the Epiphan ecosystem. Are there any big pillars that we missed, or did we kind of catch them all? Oh, you know what? Shame on me. I always want to know what's coming, what's on the roadmap for this. Obviously, you guys just launched it, but with the with the way we get updates through firmware and things like that, now I have to imagine there's more coming. Is there anything you can share with us?
Yeah, you're going to see us talk a lot in the spring about the connectivity between this camera into our ecosystem. And of course, that has benefits for Epiphan customers. But what it also means is that if you're interested in remote production, or if you're interested in having a fleet of 100 cameras, that's going to be very compelling. There's not a lot of like end-to-end camera management systems out there that work cloud-based. So we know we can do a really good job on letting people who want to manage 10 rooms or 100 rooms of cameras and have firmware updates happen from the cloud centrally and that kind of thing. So we've got a long roadmap of the connectivity between our cameras and our cloud, which is going to basically give you this whole management portal over these.
Yeah. Epiphan is pretty largely like a backbone in so many of your customers' places. You know what I mean? They get a chance to try it once, they grab onto it, and it becomes a key component of a system. And every system that they put in the rooms going forward, that easily grows into 10, 20, 100 spaces or something like that.
Yeah.
So
That
I
tends
do.
to be who we cater towards, people who want to use us like as infrastructure.
Yeah, and I can really see them gravitating towards this camera, even if, I would say the other camera manufacturers better watch out, because I could really see this being a compelling solution for those customers to buy, and it might be hard to change them off of that. So
Yeah.
we've got about 14, 15 minutes here, George. I just want to, I want to talk a little bit about a couple other things. Unify and Connect. We've talked a little bit about the Pearl hardware, which is sort of the flagship line for Epiphan. Anything on that you want to touch on before I dive into Epiphan Connect and Unify and we talk about that?
Yeah, no, let's hear it. I'd love to hear it. I know you guys are users of it. You're using it right now for this show. So you tell us, how's it going?
Yeah, this is just it. So I guess for the folks out there that don't know, I know some of the people on the call know this kind of on our back end, but we've been using Epiphan Connect and Unify paired together to produce this stream since its existence, basically. And Brandon, our producer, who's in the background here, I was going to make him come on, but he snuck out of there. We've been using this producer for years, and we have looked at a variety of solutions. Ones that
what else did you look at?
I name it vmix, all of that sort of stuff. We've got our partners over at New Blue who do some great things, but it's like we're looking for something almost it was like there's all these boxes we need to check, George, and no, you guys were pretty much the only ones who could check. I mean, our wish list is long, so I'm not going to say you're checking every single one, but like all the ones to make it happen.
Yeah, especially for your application when you really are remote based. Like
This is a fully remote workflow, you guys. Brandon is in Indiana. I
Yeah.
am wherever I am, depending on when you talk to me, right? And our guests are wherever they are. I mean, you're in Canada right now.
Yeah.
So this is a truly fully remote workflow for a stream that we have here that we've put together with, titles and layouts and things like that. Can you maybe just kind of talk about how Unifying
Sure.
Connects
Like
are typically
we've, we've
leveraged?
we've done a lot of the same kind of productions that you're doing right now. Like I'm in Ottawa, my colleagues are in California, in Alberta. We had other people all over the world, and we're like, how do we do this well? And traditionally, it meant, extracting SRT signals into a Pearl in a room, but there's limitations to that. And when you move to the cloud, all of your limitations go away. When everybody's remote, suddenly it's like cloud infrastructure is scalable. You can have 30 inputs, 30 channels. You can do all these cool things. And so we've adopted the same tech stack that you're using for your shows because we can do whatever we want with it. It's the most flexible. There's other tools for like quick setup. Like if you want to do, a webinar and things like that, there's some tools that you can get in quick, but you don't get the level of customization or the level of quality video out of those as well. And so that's what our customers use this platform for. The best example is probably Shannon Sharp and Draymond Green. Those guys do podcasts on, I forget the podcast network, but all of their podcasts are produced using our unified platform because they don't have a lot of time. They want to show up, they want to join a Zoom call, get into the production and get out of there. So it's been successful for that kind of application specifically.
Yeah, the volume in Club Shay Shay for
Yes.
Shannon Sharp. I didn't want to steal your name drop. I didn't know if we were even allowed to talk about it. But after we started using it for a little bit and we had been conversing, I remember you told me, you're like, oh, yeah, this is what all these guys use or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
After we had already started. And I was like, really? It definitely,
I told you that earlier.
yeah, made me feel a little bit cooler for sure. We're using a service from Singular, I believe. So we're using Uno overlays from Singular.
Yeah.
Our producer has designed a lot of the layouts and uploaded those and graphics and things. We bring videos in quite often. So there's a lot of flexibility in this. And I know, George, you've mentioned a couple of times we're seeing increased demand for things like podcast studios, all hands address solutions and things like that. And I just don't sleep on Unifying Connect. It is an extremely powerful cloud service. I feel like often solutions and products, and I'm saying that in air quotes because it's not a physical product, right? Can often get overlooked because it's easy. What you can't see, right? You don't know necessarily. So I don't want to sleep on it, you guys. It's an awesome solution you should check out. Happy to answer any questions about it. I know we've gotten into it with a couple of integrators over the last 2 years. After one of the streams, they'll send me a little note on the side and say like, hey, how are you guys achieving this?
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
are you
yeah, yeah.
using?
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, but you guys have been a huge help in that. It's been awesome. It's worked out for us for a couple of years now.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I love working with those customers who are like, especially in this space where we have, corporate customers where they're not necessarily like full-time broadcasters. They've been asked, they're like, can you figure out how to do the company town hall? Or can you find somebody who can help us do that? That's like our bread and butter. It's like, oh yeah, we can help you do that. Because the other version that they might find is like, oh, we went and bought like a $40,000 switcher. It's like,
that's
it's gonna work, but boy, oh boy, it's heavy lift.
That's like what we were looking at essentially. Yeah. I mean, we went through, like I said, vMix. We tried every iteration of how we could use OBS and other like hooks and plugins to like get things to work.
And you'll get there. It's just it's a long road, and you got to get really good at it. So unless you want it to be your full-time job, which most of our customers, they have like 10 jobs, just like you, right? So
yes, this is a slice of what I do.
I know.
And I will say, I think the only like hook that, that we really kind of had to really spend any time on was like, we use the Zoom webinar platform. Everybody here is on the Zoom webinar platform, right? Yep. The Unify and Connect solutions, especially when used together, like there's easy to spit out to a Facebook Live or whatever, a YouTube Live or something like that. Like that's an extremely easy thing to do. We had to take another step and figure out like, okay, for certain reasons, we like using the Zoom webinar platform. So we want to stick with that. How are we going to achieve putting all this together? There's not necessarily a native hook for Zoom webinar per se, but there is a hook for Zoom because that's how we're pulling stuff, right?
Yeah. You mean for the push to push your content
into the stream out, right?
Yeah.
So what we've actually done, like I actually have two computers rolling here in this setup, and I'm using that. I've got one with our regular meeting, and the other one, our producer joins with the Epiphan feed, and we just big screen that, spotlight it,
Yeah, yeah,
and that becomes the push out to there. But that was honestly like the only. Once we kind of learned our way around, like that was the only major hurdle that with a lot of other solutions, they go, yeah, we can do all that. And as soon as we got to the hook where it was like, cool, we want to put it out in a Zoom webinar. Well, yeah, we can do Zoom webinars. Okay. But in the Zoom webinar world, all the hosts and the guests all have to be in that webinar. You and I are not in the Zoom webinar right now. We're in a different call.
yeah, yeah.
And that's a tricky push that we were able to find a way to do with the Epiphan Connect and Unify solution. So
Amazing. Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about it. You guys will have to stop me before we run out of time. So I'll put it there. George, we've got about 5-10 minutes left. I want to remind the folks, thank you for joining. We'll do the raffle here kind of at the end. If you've got any remaining questions for George, please go ahead and pop them in the Q&A. We'll make sure we get them. But George, any last thoughts, anything we didn't touch on, anything like that we want to get into?
I'd love for people to ask us more questions about this camera and how the kind of PTZ world that they're looking for, because we're in the thick of it. We're developing a lot right now for this technology and how it integrates with our stuff, but how it integrates everywhere else too. So I'm in a curious mindset, so I'd love to hear more.
So audience feedback, we're soliciting it. If it's not here and now with a question, which we certainly appreciate, definitely get with your Midwich sales rep.
Find us on social too. And
yes. Yeah. The whole team is super approachable. You guys have been awesome to work with. I wouldn't lie about that. If you weren't awesome to work with, I just wouldn't say anything. Right. George, are you guys, you just said you're on LinkedIn, you guys on all the socials, right?
Yes, we're on LinkedIn, we're on all the socials. We're doing a webinar at this very moment. Actually, we have a competitive webinar happening right now.
I know. When we got to the scheduling on this, I was so upset with myself, but I didn't want to push it.
I think I was probably a part of that scheduling problem. So it's on my face too, but
we'll share it.
I won't tell people where to find it, so they won't just go.
Awesome. Well, George, thanks so much for being with us here on the AV Exchange. And my friend, we will look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks so much, Joe.